Sure, we get a Kryptonian in Flash, but it's not Kal-El. Here's your look at the brand new McFarlane Toys, the Flash movie, Supergirl. Languishing in the bowels of what appears to be a derelict military base, this severely weakened alien Kara Zor-El has been hidden away from the world and those in fear of her colossal power. A daring rescue mission revives the Kryptonian, but it remains to be seen if Kara will have the strength to join forces with Barry Allen and become the superhero the world needs. Supergirl. Gone, it seems, is Kal-El, now replaced with Kara Zor-El. And while I am obviously a little bit bummed that Henry Cavill isn't going to be appearing in the Flash movie, I suppose we are getting something similar, that being Supergirl. Now, before we get a closer look at Supergirl, I'm also going to be bringing in the Superman that we looked at earlier from Justice League. Let's grab first the tape measure just to see how tall the figure stands. While I'm also doing this as well, I'd like to thank, of course, the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide the sample of Kara Zor-El that we could have a look at in this review. Supergirl, in this case, stands 6 3/4 of an inch tall, or the figure is going to be 17 centimeters in height. Speaking of Cavill's soups, here's what the figure looks like along with the Justice League release of Superman that we looked at earlier here on the channel. While sharing very similar Kryptonian costumes, Cavill's Superman suit definitely seems a lot more darker, not only in the blues, but the reds as well. Here's also what the figure looks like along with the Flash that we earlier looked at here on this channel as well. In this case, both Superman and the Flash are a lot taller than Kara in the middle. To be expected, the figure comes included with a trading card. A bit unexpected, though, the figure comes included with a flight stand. Not always the case when it comes to flight-bound characters. Backtracking, though, a bit, the figure comes included with a trading card. The trading card has, in this case, an illustration of Supergirl from the Flash movie here on the front. It's a departure from not only figure photography, but also source material that they have used with other earlier trading cards. I like it. It looks better, I think, honestly, than using figure photography. Flip to the back, though, the real name in this case is Kara Zor-El, with, of course, a paragraph read you can pause and read for yourself. I read it at the beginning as well. You're welcome. Move that to the side. Figure also comes included with the trading card. Well, a display stand after the trading card. The display stand getting still hung up by that trading card. The display stand in this case actually is a flight stand. So what you actually get is 2 parts. You get 2 parts, so you can use it as just a regular display stand if you want, overlooking just the obvious little slot here on the back, a large DC logo down below, and 1 single peg, so you can plug her on that way. Or what you can also do as well is you can take yourself the display stand neck, slide it into the back, lock it into place, and then you've got yourself an adjustable waist clip that's going to clip around Kara's waist. Now, you can either have the figure like levitating, which seems to be a lot of times what I'm doing nowadays with a lot of my flight-bound figures. I like to just kind of have them levitating. And just, again, bring the waist around. You can kind of have her displayed like that, right? Not bad. Or what you can also do, too, is you can tilt the stand forward, and you can have her in her flight pose. Now, obviously, the figure is going to have to be able to look forward to see exactly what she's doing. So you may want to even just bring it up just a little bit. But I like the means that the display stand gives you the benefit of both. Taking the figure off from the display stand for right now. I'm sure it's probably going to be coming back a little bit later into this review, so stay tuned for that. If you are one that gets very attached to these flight stands, don't get too attached. It's going to be coming back soon. Getting a close look at Supergirl, one other thing the figure comes included with as well is a series of swapped out hands. Now, what she has in one hand is sort of a either flight or borderline gestured hand. If you want something similar, then on the other side, the figure also comes included with a more relaxed hand. That's pretty much just a mirror copy to this one, just flipped across. This, of course, swaps out then the closed fist, and you can change it to then the relaxed hands if you want. Or again, if you like then this look on this side, then you simply just use the gripping hand or closed fist hand that comes included for the other side of the figure's fist. Simply to remove the hands, you're just going to wiggle it off the post. Even though I really prefer, generally, like to have fists on one hand, relaxed hands then on the other. But go ahead and just plug it in place. Pretty easy to do. Boy, that was easy. And that's what the figure looks like with the swapped out hands. I usually then do that just in these reviews so I can show you guys how easy it is to remove. I'm probably going to be ultimately popping that back off and replacing it with a closed fist later on. Getting a closer look at the head sculpt. It's not bad. I mean, it definitely does look like Supergirl, I would say, from the movie, right down to the short hair that she's sporting. I think there was one of the singers from TLC. Was it TLC? Had hair similar to this. So longer in the back, a little bit Well, longer in the front, shorter in the back. It's sculpted pretty good, though. I like the color of the brown that they end up using here. It's not quite a very dark brown either. It's fairly a light brown. The skin complexion, I think, matches to that, what she has in the movie. Again, the head sculpt is pretty good. The only thing I would really say about it is that there's something a little off about her lips. Maybe it's just the fact they add a little bit of a clear coat or something to it. But I find like I keep honing into her lips for reasons unknown. Like the eyes look pretty good. But I find like with the lips, maybe they're a little too, I don't know, I don't want to say shiny, because like the face does have a little bit of a sheen to the plastic that they used. As for the figure's cape, the strange thing about the cape, though, is while you would imagine it to be just simply a continuation of the body, if you actually look around to the back of it, it looks like they have just, I don't know, I want to say glued. They look like they have glued it here, but it's glued in such a way it kind of looks like it's a separate piece. Obviously, it's a separate piece than the rest of the figure's body. If this is the way it's supposed to look in the movie, and of course we haven't yet had the chance to see it in the movie, I feel like there would be a little bit more of a gradual transition between what would be the shoulders and then what would be the start of the cape. This sort of just then looks like literally just took a cape and stuck it to the back of the figure's body, which is exactly what they've done. I don't know how well the cape is attached. It looks like it is attached by peg on the back of the figure's body, so I would imagine it's going to stay pretty well in place. The cape is a fairly thick, soft plastic, kind of very much like a thick fruit roll-up. Strawberry flavor. As for the coloring of the costume is pretty much like a lighter blue. Well, I'm stating the obvious, but if we were to say bring in Cavill's suit, for example, you can really see there's a departure of blues that they've used here. Cavill's would have been a little bit more of like a dark grayish blue, whereas what we get here with Kara has very much more of a primary blue. And all the reds, for example, instead of having more of the orangish reds, they kind of go with more of a dark pink. I mean, it's supposed to be a red, I'm guessing, but it sort of has more what I feel to be like a dark pink look. I'm looking also at the symbol here, the logo of Supergirl here on the front. And I don't know, it seems like it droops. Like it looks like it's slightly melted and it's sort of starting to dribble down the front of her chest. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to look in the movie, but it does look like this part right here. I'm, of course, drawing everyone's attention to her chest. But looking at right here, it does look like the symbol has sort of been pulled, stretched down in front of her chest. Maybe, again, that's the way it's supposed to look in the movie. The rest of the costume does look like it seems to rely only on just the blue molded plastic. What we actually get, though, of the plastic does look pretty good. There are a few little areas I have to mention here on the figure, like the thighs, for example, sort of look like they have almost fingerprints on them. I don't know if just the way it came out of the press like this, but there certainly seems to be areas, like you can see on the side where there's texturing on the thighs, and then on the front section, it sort of has this abrupt kind of, almost as if somebody just grabbed it from the thigh area to pull the figure out. There also seemed to be a little bit of almost glue residual left behind on tops of the thighs, but it's not that bad at all. The figure, of course, doesn't really have much in the way of red all the way down the rest of the figure's body. I mean, really, after you stop here, all the rest of the figure's costume is all just this navy blue that we get. She does have, again, peg holes in the undersides of her feet. So again, if you want to use the display stand, it's just solely a display stand and not relying on her flying, then you simply just would plug her on the bombs, plug it onto, I should say, the pegs located on top of the base. The figure also does have toe articulation, but I guess we probably talk more about that. And the figure also does have not quite fingerless gloves. I guess you could still say it's fingerless gloves, but she has at least a glove that attaches around her thumb. The coloring, again, is pretty good on this, but again, it's not quite the colors of what we got with Cavill's suits. For the articulation on Supergirl, we're going to start, of course, with her head. The head rotates all the way around quite easily. I mean, there's nothing in the way of hair really getting in the way of things, so you can very easily move the head down, move it up. And when it comes to her flying, you can get to her about there. And then, of course, you may want to just compensate by bringing her torso up just a little bit more from that. The head also moves back and forth as well. She looks, at least mold-wise, a little bit like the girl from The Mummy. Trying to think of, what was Rachel Weisz? No, that's not her. I'm sure it's going to come to me a little bit later. You guys can also let me know down below in the comment section. But the head does rock back and forth also as well. Arms rotate all the way around. The cape, luckily for where it's located on the back of the figure's body, doesn't obstruct at all the figure's arm movement. Easily as well, you can also move the arms outward at 90 degrees. She has a bicep swivel, if you hold on to the shoulder, that is. Bicep swivel on both sides, double hinge on the elbow on both sides, and hands rotate all the way around on both sides as well. Figure does have an upper torso ball joint, and figure also does have a lower abdomen ball joint as well. Although moving it back and forth, you can kind of start to see the developing of the figure diaper. A softer plastic, obviously, here, but moving the torso any bit past the point of being straight like this, starts to break up a little bit of the seamless look to the form. And you end up getting these little gap spaces right here. So you may want to just kind of keep the body a little bit facing forward. Legs go forward, legs go back, legs go out. Nice ratcheted joint happening there as well. Figure has a swivel at the top of her thigh. The figure does also possess a double hinge on her knee. And once again, she does have an ankle pivot, not only moving back and forth this way, back and forth this way, but the figure also does have toe articulation as well. Again, I'm going to hold back, I'm going to reserve back my opinions of what I think about Supergirl, having not yet seen the chance, having had the chance yet to see Flash, because I don't think that Flash is actually even out yet. I mean, it's a nice looking Supergirl. I mean, obviously, I would have loved to see more Henry Cavill. It looks to be seen, it seems to be playing up the events of Flashpoint, literally down to the point that Superman is imprisoned and he's probably been bombarded with the red rays of the sun, preventing him from, of course, gaining his abilities. Honestly, again, I would have liked to have Henry Cavill be the one to actually come back as the Kryptonian in Flash. For one reason or another, they decided to go with Supergirl instead. And Supergirl, again, without actually having the chance to see the movie, does look good as a figure. It's going to look nicely not only on the shelf with another Kryptonian, that being Kal-El, or I'll just display her simply with the rest of the Flash figures from the movie. One compliment I'd like to throw Kara's way as well is I like the sculpting of her cape. The cape lends very well to the idea of attaching her onto the flight stand, and while not always being the case, I'm glad to see that the figure did in fact come included with a flight stand, because if I hadn't had a flight stand included with the figure, I probably would have just pulled one from my totes of various, I don't know how many of these flight stands I have by now, but between all the other flight figures that have actually come included with display stands, like some of the Batman Beyonds, for example, I might have just used one of those, because I think the figure with a cape this good does look a lot better in flight rather than standing. The cape, though, the way it's attached on the back of the figure's body does look a little awkward, I would say. It doesn't seem to have like a gradual transitioning of sculpt. Again, maybe that's the way it's supposed to look in the movie, with, of course, not being the chance to see the movie yet. I can't even say if that's the case or not. But I feel like the cape looks like it should have really molded better into the top of her shoulders, like the shoulder area, instead of actually just abruptly stopping with the smooth texturing that they had, and then just starting the cape from there. But again, maybe that's the way it looks in the movie as well. What do you guys think of Kara Zor-El? And how do you guys feel about the idea that Supergirl is going to be replacing Supes in the Flash movie? Would you have liked to have seen Superman appearing in the Flash movie? Or do you think he's too big of a character that would have stolen... I can't even finish the rest of that sentence. I was going to say stole some of the thunder from Flash, but we literally have two Batman and a reappearance of Michael Keaton Batman. By this point, everything is detracting away from the fact that this is actually a Flash movie. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comment section. Would you guys still have preferred to see Henry Cavill replace or be the predominant Kryptonian? Or are you kind of glad the fact that, in this case, we actually get Supergirl? Let me know down below in the comment section. Once again, big thank you. Big thank you to the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide this sample of the brand new DC Multiverse Flash movie, Supergirl. We can have a look at this review. As always, again, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit with a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and on board to see more videos of the Flash movie, then make sure you're coming back, making sure you're hitting that subscribe button down below, making sure you turn on the bell notification, making sure, yeah, you're coming back all the time. Because, of course, we always have snacks present. Snacks may not always be present, but snacks are certainly here for those that are early to the premieres, which again happen Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ooh, somebody's writing this down. I didn't know he had premieres. Yeah, all the time, man. All the time. We're going to have a lot more videos coming your way, guys. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.